Good morning on what is a cool, bright and windy day. It is Thursday the 23rd of March. I've got a nice hot cup of tea. And, not so much a parcel to unbox, but something to unbag, at least from its packaging, which is how it's delivered to me by my friendly local gaming store. So what I'm going to look at today is not that. Don't want to look at that. I got distracted by the colour. So let's try this again, shall we? I've got a couple of things in here, but what I have got is Mutant Crawl Classics, Mayhem on the Magtrain. This is Mutant Crawl Classics number 14, a level 2 adventure, and it's by Tom Snyder. So, you know, on this place, it's quite nice. They've got the silver effect on the lettering. That's a nice addition. So, Mayhem on the Magtrain. It's thrills on wheels as the seekers find themselves trapped aboard a runaway train. The robotic conductor has lost contact with his engineer's subroutine, so it falls upon the stowaways to stop their out-of-control journey. All that's standing between them and victory is a train filled with hungry mutant worms, a rail car threatening to jump the tracks, and a sentient AI who refuses to be deactivated. Stow your luggage overhead and buckle up for a wild journey across Terra AD. That's Terra, that's not Terra Anno Domini, but Terra after disaster. Okay, so Mutant Crawl Classics is published by Goodman Games. It's a post-apocalyptic role-playing game inspired by Gamma World primarily, but also the kind of Appendix N equivalent sort of fiction. There aren't now, essentially there's one source book, one role-playing, one core rule book for it, and there's a whole lot of scenarios. And what you tend to find with the scenarios is that you are exploring, as you would expect with the genre, places from the past that have been changed by the effects of the apocalypse, which was, partly AI driven, partly, so it's affected by nuclear, biological, chemical, nano swarms. Just about every kind of corrosive agent known to life, sort of thing. So, and mutagens and everything like that. And player characters sort of like, could be pure strain humans, but tend to have a sort of like a range of mutations and secret powers, which work like spells, and you have to roll for them and the various effects, and that's where all the fun comes in. But anyway, so this one takes place aboard the Magtrain. And I would just query one thing. It says, "It's thrills on wheels as the seekers find themselves trapped aboard a runaway train." It's a Magtrain. What's it doing with wheels? Anyway, so let's have a look inside. Now, I mean, the last one I had a look at was set in an undersea base, and that was really well done. So the good interesting thing is this one is, I think it's going to be quite obviously, because of the setting, and that's a great cover by the way. It's going to be quite linear because you are working from one end the train to the other, and that's a story in itself. So we open up the frontispiece, all the credits, and introduction, author's note, backgrounds, and where your player starts, including have your ticket ready. And if you go right back to the Mutant Crawl Classics core rulebook, there's a scenario in there where you do actually get to go ride on an underground train, which is more or less a maglev train, and that's a nice little encounter. Essentially, adventure begins with the players at the summons of the village elders about a matter of grave importance. The messenger, in fact, looked at a second terror on their face and asked, it's a matter of life and death, essentially that basically the tribe is under attack. So this gets player characters essentially they're being attacked by this Sickwick, who are going to be sort of like presuming the Sickwick are them mutant serpent people. So there we have a Track 29, a terminus, or basically a station for the maglev train. And there we have sort of like the player characters themselves being on board, encountering the conductor. Have you got your tickets, please? So the Magtrain is called the Magellan. And the nice thing I think cut out here is the sidebar. We've got what's out the window. So if you actually look out the window, here's what you might see. And of course, this is through the lens of the post-apocalyptic setting, which means you're going to see lands radically changed by the great disaster which brought about the apocalypse itself. Because there's one of the nice things. I do like travelling by train, and it is fantastic just to sit there and just look out the window and see the train that's changing and passing. It's always interesting, and one of the things I do enjoy on train journeys, especially if you're going through cities, is the route of the train is always through an industrial area, so you're seeing sort of behind places more than the fronts, as it were. Ultimately, you see sort of like the area one, you sort of start, you essentially aboard, you start on board in the passenger car, and then we do have a sleeping car. So you've got the progression, a sense of progression through the train or along the train. Kitchen car, where you encounter some kind of mutant plant. You've got an observation deck and lounge car, dining car, failing passenger car, which presumably is where a lot of the tension is going to come about. And here we've actually got a map of the train itself. Actually doesn't look very much like it looks more or less like a normal train kind of thing. There's not very much in the way of aerodynamics at the front there. The nose, I think, could be a bit sharper, almost like a Japanese or Chinese bullet train. I've got a nice shot, sort of like inside of just the shock of sort of like of everything being rocked about, and as the Magtrain train goes over bumps or sort of like threatens to derail, that sort of thing. That's always an exciting moment when because if you've got an action movie aboard a train, you've always had a moment like that. And brilliantly, because of course it's on a train, so you've got to have the moments like where you've got to go, you've got to climb underneath the Magtrain, and you can do that because there's a gap between the space, but between the train, because it's resting upon the magnetic forces. And of course, presumably, you might even be able to go along the top because it's a train story. And here we get to the final stop, the final end of the scenario, where you have the big fight and confrontation with the villain of the piece aboard in the essentially the driver's car, basically the operations control, the bridge as they call it here, and then you've got notes here for continuing the journey if you want to carry on with the scenario and have the player characters go to the destination of your choice. Because the great thing about this scenario, where you're going from A to B and you're solving a problem whilst you're going to A to B, when you get to B, what's there? That's another scenario. And then we've got an Appendix A of new artifacts, because one of the great things about Mutant Crawl Classics, and because obviously it's and its forebears with Gamma Board, is that you're searching for artifacts and trying to learn what they do. And sometimes you're going to get that wrong. Sometimes they're going to backfire. But you've got a stack of new items here: kinetic knuckles, a sonic corkscrew, and so on. And with these you can always have all manner of adventures and disasters going off, and your players being inventive as to what use they put them to. So then lastly we've got a stack of player handouts. These aren't very interesting in themselves, but I mean, you can, if you were running this, you just print this out and pass it, and cut these out and pass them around, and you have the players sort of fill them in and sort of like have them ready to pass to the conductor as the boarding passes. So yeah, that's Mayhem on the Magtrain. adventure for Mutant Crawl Classics. That looks a lot of fun. Really kind of focused, tight adventure, because of course, you know, it's linear. You've got to keep it going forward, so that'll be really easy to add to your Mutant Crawl Classics campaign. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here, typically with a box or a package from which I will unbox a book or game and talk about it to the best extent of my knowledge. Of course, this came out of basically a bag of purchases. All, of course, accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. For roughly 10 minutes or so. Then please do hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. Be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.